Logan, why are you washing? Get in here. Come on. That was the point. I just added you, so.
Yo,
Eric,
yo.
what's up, buddy? How are you? How's
Good,
everything?
man. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. Just had dinner with Grandma and, just hanging in there, a little full, you know.
Aw, dinner with Grandma.
Yeah, sometimes you
Such
got
a
it.
nice boy you are.
I know, I'm not as evil as I come off to people, you know. How's everything? How you feeling?
Damn occultists,
Yeah,
eating dinner
people,
with their
yeah,
grandma and
worshiping you,
helping old ladies across.
do things you, yeah. No,
Hi,
that's cool.
Rochelle.
Who's that? I
My
cut.
friend Rochelle.
What's up, Rochelle? How are you? I cut it off, so distracting and whatnot. But yeah. So what did you want to get into tonight? You said some natural law or something like that.
I mean, that's always a good starting off point. Like I said, we always kind of bounce
Yeah, jump.
around.
Yeah, sure, sure. I
Jump
think every
around. Jump
uh,
around.
jump. Yeah, classic. Yeah, well, yeah. I guess I think more people really need to understand and learn about natural law. That's the problem. One of the discussions I was having last night with my buddy Tom, we're talking about how right and wrong aren't up to man's decision. This is embedded in the fabric of creation itself. And I think more people
Yeah.
really need to sit and kind of contemplate on these ideas because it's very easily provable, you know?
Right. I agree with you. I saw your broadcast yesterday, and I
Yeah.
saw that was coming up. And he
Hmm.
was, it's like, everybody can get behind rape and murder is wrong, yeah. But then, you know, like you can't park here between 8 and 5.
Yeah.
That's not really a question of morality. I mean, but honestly, that's more like within the realm of private property, which, if that makes sense, like
What's
if
actually
you're,
public property, you know?
well, I'm saying that's only even a factor if it's private property,
Right, right.
if that makes sense.
Hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, and also, well, what can happen to a person if they do get ticketed, for parking in a place that is really just open to lots of people or whatever? You can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you don't pay one of those tickets. In the long run. Um, so yeah, I just think what were we talking about? Sorry, lost my thought. Um, yeah, just in general, we got into man's law a little bit last night and everything, and about how it's not writing stuff down on paper doesn't make something moral or not, and I think more
Right, of
people kind of
course.
need to grasp that.
I think people don't like to acknowledge the reality of what a law actually means.
Hmm.
You always see these bootlickers commenting on when somebody gets jacked up by, tased or something on a routine traffic stop, and they're like, well, if you just followed the law, that wouldn't happen. But that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like, if you're if the issue to begin with is not legitimate, in other words, whatever you're being harassed about is a victimless crime, and then they start to, give you orders or arrest you or whatever,
Duress and coercion.
um, right, then you follow that all the way to the end, and basically they can legally kill you if you're resisting arrest.
Yeah,
But people
that's
don't think like that. It's like, oh, just go with it, and it won't have to come to that.
right. Right.
Let's just do this the easy way, right?
Yeah,
But that's not moral. That's not right. You know
no,
what I'm
it's
saying?
not.
If they're harassing you and you haven't caused harm to anyone, then, as extreme as it might sound, you're
Hmm.
completely within your rights to defend yourself,
Sure.
with force if necessary, even if it's just a traffic ticket
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, people
But
just
that's the
don't
principled
view it.
thing to do.
yeah, they just don't view it that way, unfortunately. Just because of massive amounts of indoctrination and everything. I always like to bring up to people about how nobody actually owns their home, and a lot, people still to this day, they're
Hey,
like,
Jackie.
what do you mean? I ask them, well, do your parents own your home? They say yes. And I'm like, well, then they usually say, well, once they pay off the mortgage. I'm like, okay, well, even then, they paid off the mortgage. What happens if you don't pay your property tax? And they're like,
Right.
well, I mean, you got to pay your property tax. Like, okay, but you're not answering the question. What actually happens to you if you don't pay it? Men with guns will show up and take your shit, and if you resist them, well, it's not always pretty. So no one
Right.
actually owns
Follow it
that.
all the way to the end of that
Yeah,
train of logic, and
yeah,
it
just a
gets
little bit.
real ugly.
Yeah, even like
But
jaywalking.
but people aren't exactly. It's something as simple as that can threaten your life, and when you stand in principle, in truth, and
Right.
that's the absurdity of government
Yeah.
by its
Well,
own nature.
yeah.
But that's people aren't thinking about that when they say, well, there ought to be a law against that. Like when I was in training for trucks,
Right.
driving my truck. My trainer said something once. He saw a guy get out of his truck at a truck stop. He was wearing flip flops,
Hmm.
and he said that there ought to be a law against that. And I'm just like, are you serious right now? Like, you think this man should be put in a cage for
Right.
wearing
Literally.
freaking
Yeah.
flip flops?
Yeah, it's just the
Just
language. That's what people get very put off by me a lot of times. It's like I just call things what they actually are, not like all the vague euphemisms they use to like dance around things. And it's really
exactly.
funny to me how to see how blown back people get. Like, whoa, I mean, it's not really that. It's like, no, it is, and like they can't actually argue with it. They'll be like, well, I mean, yeah, but when you say it like that, it's like, well, what does it matter how you say it? The truth is the truth. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, when
Face.
you call it what it really is,
Yeah,
it's just kind of icky. So why do you got to do that,
vague
Justin?
euphemisms. Love vague euphemisms. It's really fascinating, actually. One of the things that I saw that really, really got me thinking about that was the George Carlin stand-up on soft language. Have you ever seen that? Where he talks about how after the First World War, it was called what happens to the soldiers is called shell shock, and he said almost like a gun cocking itself.
Oh
And then they
yes,
changed it to
right, right,
rapid
right.
fatigue, yeah, and he boils it down to post-traumatic stress disorder, and then none of these soldiers get their money anymore. And it made such an impact. He's like, this guy's totally right. It's just like, wow, the words have this much
He
power
was a
over the way we
genius when
view
it came
reality.
to
Oh, totally.
language.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I consider myself one of his henchmen.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That thing he said about the the similar soft language, but regarding how politicians speak, I thought was pretty
oh, the long one,
profound.
the long he's talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
like
great.
they don't tell people to do things; they advise them.
Yeah,
Things
yeah,
like that. That like they
right. They
use
don't
all
say
these
things; they
these terms.
indicate them.
It's
Yeah, it's just
hilarious.
what does that mean? It's the same thing. Like, why? That was one of the things when I first started like doing a lot of research. I realized like, wow, I'm gonna have to really learn and understand what all these ridiculous terms are. And when it comes down to
Yeah,
it, they're very simple concepts. They just use large words to obfuscate the truth, and it makes the average person think, well, I couldn't possibly ever figure that out. I mean, that's and it just can't. And it's like, no, it's really a simple idea. They're just intentionally trying to trick you. That's all, which I find very sinister. Logan, you there, bro? Oh no, the bad reception. You there, buddy? Come back to me. Mm, let's see if I can hit him again. Oh no. Let's try that again. Eddie, if you're still watching, I'll get you in soon. This was something we were planning on doing, but I definitely will. I promise. Come on, Logan, you can do it. Doesn't look like it's happening. Oh shit. Oh, there we go. Yo, what's up, Josh? Yeah, sorry. In case anybody I wasn't saying anything, I took all the stuff off.
You hear me?
Eddie, what's this all about?
We back?
We're just discussing all sorts of weird topics and stuff that people don't like to talk about. Because somebody, what's up, Jackie? How are you? Somebody needs to like talk about things. I'm not into politics. I'm just into philosophy. Becker roast him. Same old home. What's up, guys? How are you? All right, I'm turning the comment thing off because it's going to distract me. This to no, it's not. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, don't say that. Oh shit. Okay,
Can you hear
so
me all
Logan,
right?
so I hear you. Yeah. I okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
hear you.
Yeah, I'm
So
the
go ahead.
same way when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
I just, you lose me when you start talking about Trump did this or Trump. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't really care. Even if
Yeah.
he's doing something good or whatever, that's great. I just have no
The
interest in
good things are
discussing
so
those
mean.
things.
Yeah, the good things they do are so meaningless in the course of everything that it's just kind of like, oh, well, he tweaked this little thing over here. Meanwhile, the car's on fire. Where it's just like, well, at least the door handle opens. You know, it's yeah. They look funny.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
yeah, they look. Just so you know, I actually it's just a still of you. I can't actually see you, so in case of accident, okay,
Okay. Well, at least you can hear me. I mean,
I can hear you. Yeah. So continue. I'm sorry. That's it. Might make it a little weird because I can't see when you're done talking and stuff. But go ahead.
um, yeah, I mean that's exactly right. Even things that appear to be at the benefit of the people aren't done
Mm-hmm.
out of the kindness of their heart at all. It's all just a political move, something to get favors from somebody else or whatever. Like it's
Or just
all
appease them. Yeah.
right, right. They do just enough to keep people like buying it. You know,
Right. Mm-hmm. I bet they all got it psychologically figured out. Like every 4 years is the perfect time before people start getting like their feathers ruffled and really want to, like they got like think tanks for all of this type of stuff.
exactly.
You know? Mm-hmm. It's kind of can I re-add you? It's kind of pissing me off that I can't see you.
Sure. Let me bounce out of here and come back in.
Yeah, yeah, okay, cool. Because
All
yeah,
right.
I just see it still.
Okay.
All right, let's try that again. Can you still not find sleeves to fit you? I only like sleeves of cookies, James. That's it. Sleeves of cookies. That's it. I actually have some Chips Ahoy right here. But nah, sleeves are really like early 19th century. There he is. Hey, what's up, Patty? How are you? Patty's an old friend of my father's.
All right.
Um,
My ugly
okay, I'm
mug
trying.
back in the screen now.
Okay, now I can see you there in the darkness. Hey, the
All
bump
right.
in the dark, like Rocky. Um, but yeah, go ahead. So as you were saying, go ahead.
Um, I don't know. I guess we can get back to the natural law. We got a little deterred there, but
Sure.
it's something that I've been continuing to delve into. You know, it has a lot of layers to it. You know what I mean? Like when I first heard about it, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I think I may have even been kind of overthinking it, like misunderstanding it and all that kind of stuff. But it actually, the very premise of it actually is very, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply cause and effect, nothing more than that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
Actually, yeah.
the concept is simple, but the implications of this are vast and infinite. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's what I've been like I said, delving into. Like now that I've got my head wrapped around the basic concept, it's continuing to sort of like reveal itself as to just how profound and important it is to understand,
Yeah.
and actually how it can really alleviate a lot of unnecessary suffering in the human experience, honestly. Because
Yeah.
what's the ratio or the proportion of how much people suffer um, from what actually is versus what they want it to be? Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? Uh,
Yeah, I think one of the reasons people don't recognize it in the same way is A, they don't really know about it, but B, they're too busy all the time to really sit and reflect. Something I noticed is natural law is something I really experience from reflection. I'll think back and see how this transpired or that transpired. And then like look at it like from that point of view because in the moment you don't always see it and a lot of these things the effects of it don't it doesn't happen the same way like you fall and stub your toe. Sometimes these things take a longer time to fall into place. And again, we're just not taught these things. Some of the most occulted stuff there is, supposedly.
right, Right, but it really just comes back to, I mean, the thing I find myself saying almost to the point of being like a mantra, because it brings
Hmm.
peace by understanding this, is everything as it should be.
Hmm.
Like, you know, like for example, someone in your family member is suffering.
Oh no, got it again. Come back to me, bro.
Okay, you back?
Oh wait,
Okay.
I hear
Um,
it, but man, okay, there we go. Sure.
someone you care about is going through something really hard, and that sucks because the people in the family are affected by that, and
Hmm.
that's unfortunate because it's really all to do with their illusions and their poor choices, and that's their journey.
Hmm.
That suffering is a reflection of their journey, because again, that suffering is only a result of the poor choices, and which is a result of lower consciousness. So
Hmm.
it's unfortunate that we have suffering, but suffering is only the exact amount or level deserving of the level of consciousness that you have. So
Right.
it's there to teach you exactly what you're doing
Yeah.
wrong.
Right, and this is where they try to keep people operating out of the low R complex of the brain, because when you're stuck in that survival mode, fight or flight, like I got to get paid, how am I going to pay the rent? I got to get the kids, I got to get food. You don't really have time to sit and reflect. And then there's a power differential there, because these people have the time to really sit and understand these things, and they keep everyone in a perpetual loop of just survival, trying to get by with very little time for reflection. And in the time that they do have, people just want to watch TV, which I can totally understand in that sense, where they just want to, like, escape from everything. You know.
Yeah,
So I think
to a point,
people
but this is something I was actually thinking about just a minute ago. Getting ready
don't.
for this broadcast is like it. It's just funny to me. Like I understand the human instinct to like run away from what you fear, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so irrational to do so, because your ignorance does not change whatever it is you think you're running from. You're not it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not going anywhere. It's like if I come in and tell you, hey, there's a tornado coming right for us. It's coming right
Yeah,
for us right now.
filled with
And you
storms. Yeah,
say, oh, that's fine. I'm just going to pretend I didn't hear that. Um,
yeah.
that's your choice to do. But guess what? Your ass is going to be grass here in just a few minutes, because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't act on your consciousness level, what you're aware of
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
You had the
no,
chance to
totally.
act on the information that you had, and burying your
Mm-hmm.
head in the sand just leaves your ass sticking right up in the air.
Simple as that. Yeah, I actually have a great picture or whatever, and one of my backgrounds. It's a scene from the video game Bioshock Infinite, but what it actually is you see this woman's home completely engulfed in flames. I mean, like completely engulfed in flames, and you see the silhouette of the woman, and she's just there in the middle of the doorway sweeping as if everything's fine, which is a great like
Mm.
allegory for our country and the state of the world right now. People just ignoring all the actual problems that surround us, and just kind of, oh, it's okay. Trump's going to take care of it, or the next guy's going to take care of it, or we got to get Obama back, or something like that, where everything just seemingly gets worse and worse despite who's in office. Because again, the government basically man's law goes completely against what natural law is, and it totally obfuscates the understanding of that.
Right.
You know, um,
Right, because you're bypassing the natural consequences of things by
the natural order of things. Yeah, I
right.
mean, quantum physics
It's
has proven this.
it's
Yeah,
kind of
sorry.
like how like there's that old kind of classic story about the little kid who's about to stick something in the light socket, and the mother wants to stop him, and they keep doing it and keep doing it, and the mother keeps stopping him. Again, you're bypassing natural law because you're not allowing
Mhm.
them to learn through the course of natural consequence. But the
Right,
dad's the
right.
one that's sitting there and just saying like, hold on, watch this, and then
Yeah,
I bet they
let the
won't do
kid
that
try.
again when
Yeah,
their hair
yeah.
stands up and they you know
No, sure. Well, again, when it comes to children, I know what you're saying. I think there might be certain things they might at a certain age might not want to learn, but come times where, yeah, like again, like don't they try to keep people from experiencing all sorts of things,
Right. At
by
some
all sorts.
point, you're not doing them any favors by continuing to suspend and bypass natural law, karma, consequences, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, consequentialism or
because
whatever.
that's the only way they're really going to learn. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say, like,
Experience.
knowledge is useless. Suffering is what brings about understanding. If you don't have understanding, then you don't, you know, your knowledge is sort of like inert in
Yeah.
a way.
Well, I think knowledge should come. I mean, it should come before suffering, because if you had the knowledge, you probably wouldn't suffer. But it's people that don't seek out knowledge after they suffer and continue the cyclical pattern of decay that's the problem. You know what I mean? I was always the type of person to learn from mistakes. I used to play a lot of fighting games, and that's one of the things that back when learning how to play fighting games is that if you take a loss, you got to know, well, what did I do wrong here? What was it? Did this person see through what I was doing? Was I reacting too quickly? Maybe I should sit back and really try to outthink the person and whatnot. So, yeah, that was good for me. It was.
Right.
If I ever have kids, I'm definitely
Exactly.
making them play fighting games. Sure. Yeah.
Everything's an allegory, man, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
That's
Is
the way to
everything
look at
is trying to teach you something if you're paying attention.
attention. Right, right. No, you're totally right. I just don't think a lot of people are paying attention. Hopefully, people will pay
Yeah.
attention to us, and then
And
maybe life will improve. But at the same time, too, you get the people there
well,
like, oh, you with the yeah, the occultism and stuff. It's
well,
like, oh, we're
again,
just
we're
trying to
doing
help.
our
That's
part.
all. Right.
Exactly, we're doing our part.
Yeah.
If people can heed and walk their own path and learn something, or you figure it out themselves, that's fine. If they want to ignore it and just keep ramming their head into the wall again and again, I mean, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's like
Yeah. A perfect example.
that
Not to cut
whole
you off,
like
but a perfect.
saying about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's natural law in a
Voting.
nutshell, right there. You
Voting.
play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. It's all right there.
Right.
Like, we know this. That the problem
Yeah.
is people they want what can't not be. They want to
Right.
touch the stove, but they don't want to get burned. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. You got to pick one.
Mhm. Right, and that's what I mean. Donald Trump's the perfect example of this. Again, like everybody, if we got a Trump in there, he's going to save the day. And look, he's doing exactly what every other president down the line has done,
Right.
blowing up a bunch of people that have no business with, that none of us have ever met. None of us know any of these people. We have no idea if this is true or not. Every war was started by vicious lies that have come out. But for some reason, this time it's different. This time we got to do it. That's why, like
Right.
again, we're talking about consequentialism and play stupid games to get stupid prizes. I think Donald Trump is the ultimate example. Again, I'm not a Trump hater. I don't sit there and
He's the
Donald,
ultimate stupid prize.
yeah, like they with the hair and everything. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just
Right.
it's
We have
funny.
the
And
exact president we fucking deserve. As sad
but
as
then you
that
got
is.
the liberals are there, and they're just like, oh, we got to get this other guy in, because he's kind of, and it's just kind of like, hasn't, especially older people. I don't understand, like, how do you not recognize at this point that it just gets worse and worse every time, and there has to be more to the story. Mathematically, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right. Yeah, it blows my mind, the fact that everyone is so convinced that we need government. Like, government is
Yeah.
the only thing protecting us from absolute chaos and insanity. Yet when you look at history, literally all the history of government is oppressing its people, committing genocide. I mean, where's the good part of it? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mesopotamians, Greeks, Romans, all the way down the line. Every one of them
right.
failed.
They may start okay. This country started okay. Still, I'm not totally pro like Constitution or anything necessarily, but in the relative scale of what governments are and what they do, it's about as good as it's going to get without just not being, what it is. But again, people who say minarchy, is the way, we have to have just a very minimal structure. Well, we're the example that it doesn't work. It will never work. It always ends in tyranny every single time.
Yeah, in the shortest amount of time, this country has proven minarchy doesn't work. Within the shortest amount of time of any country, we've become the most largest oligarchical evil empire that ever existed in the smallest amount of time. But we just got to go back to the Constitution, man. If it's it's a joke. That's what I mean.
Yep.
Like, people need to get smarter. Is what the problem is. And people agree with me about it. They're like, people do need to get smarter. And then I ask, well, and the same people will tell me that we need government. And then, if they all agree that government is making people stupid, And then it's just like, well, if you see that the government's making people stupid, why would you think that we need to continue to have government? Like, and again, then I don't get any answers. And people just don't like
Right.
change, they don't like new things. I tell people, I'm an anarchist. I don't think we should have government. They look at me like there's a giant monster behind me. They're like, really? Like, and it's just like, yeah, you never just thought about how things would be if, we didn't have all this nonsense and all this stuff to pay for and all this crap. And, I guess they just never thought about it, which to me it's really weird. Yeah, I think about stuff like that all the time. I think about what I'm to be doing if I was floating in space, or I just think about a lot of weird shit. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think
I
it's just a reflection of our indoctrination system from a very
yeah.
young age. We're not
And
taught to think outside the box. So, like they're just using cyclical thought patterns. Oh, the
yeah,
government is broken and corrupt, therefore we need the government to fix itself. Like, how does that make any sense at all?
right. Yeah, like if the people in the corruption are like, it's the same idea with like police corruption. It's just like, so they're going to investigate themselves, and you're going to take whatever they say. I mean, just think of the logic to that. Like, in all serious, that's not even like an attack. It just, in all serious, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you trust the people who are doing the corruption to investigate themselves and come to a conclusion that they're not guilty? I mean, it literally is insane. It's actually insanity.
Right. And it's funny, if you look on paper and compare the definition of a mafia and
Mhm.
terrorism to what
Mhm.
government is, it's
Yeah.
indistinguishable on paper.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's
The
the exact
use
same
of
thing. And
violence or coercion for political gain,
yeah.
a group of people with the power of, violence to, you want to call it a border or you want to call it a turf. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Just a little
uh,
bit earlier though.
the thin blue line, or omerta, if you know what that is, the mafia terminology, omerta. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically, like, you know, you don't speak out.
Yeah.
They stand behind their own.
Yeah.
It's the
And
exact
everyone that
same
does
thing.
speak out always gets fired. So,
Right.
clearly there's
The
something.
only difference, that I can think of is that one side is legal and the other side is illegal.
Yeah.
But
Which really just means it was written
as
on
we
paper, which
know for
again.
ourselves as critical thinkers, that law
Mhm.
has absolutely nothing to do with morality. In fact, again, that's
Absolutely
another
not.
point you were making last night.
Yeah, I love bringing that up actually. Just like again, because most people are moral relativists. They believe that we can just, kind of just write. We get to decide what's right and wrong, and by that definition, we can just write down somewhere and make it a law. And now this is right. So I always just ask them, well, okay, what if they pass a law to rape and kill your family? Is that moral? And clearly, no one says yes to that. So clearly, the answer is that man's law and morality are two completely separate, different things. And
Right,
again, I'm suggesting right and wrong are embedded in the fabric of reality itself, as
right.
opposed to just a bunch of old white men who like to write stuff down. Around here, it's illegal to have a donkey in a bathtub in Brooklyn, which is one of my favorite laws. I just think about how outrageous that is. Imagine, can you just open up? We know you got the donkey. And it'd be okay in the kitchen and the living room, just not the bathroom. You know,
Right.
it's just insane. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's wild, man. But go ahead.
I don't know. I got nothing at the
Oh,
moment.
oh yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, just in general about
Do you
like,
have any like questions for me then?
no, I think we're on a similar page or whatever, in terms of that. I just, like I said, I wish people would take more time to kind of like look into some of these topics. I think a lot of people who watch my stuff just kind of look at me like a wild madman or something like that, or like some kind of idealist, where it's just kind of like, a lot of people thought like this back in the day. There are a lot of like, for example, a lot of philosophers, a lot of like enlightened people. They wrote and talked all about these things. You know what I'm saying? And all it takes, everybody knows who Plato is. Nobody really knows like what these guys would talk about and stuff like that. Like it was like Socrates. Oh, great guy. They like straight poison that motherfucker just for running around asking questions. I kind of hope they kind of like run me out of town the same way. I kind of hope for things like that. I think it'd be really funny. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, the thing is, I mean, back to the subject, we're talking about, government in general,
yeah.
and how it's so hard for people to think outside that box. For some reason,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Facebook scrolling, and I'm seeing all these innovations, biodegradable plastic made out of seaweed, and like this thing where people mix like cornstarch and water, and then they can walk on water, and all this crazy stuff. No one's extorting them and forcing them to invent these things, right?
Mhm.
No, we've got all this innovation, and we're, where there's value, they're going to develop that. You know what I'm saying? That's a brilliant idea. Let's do that.
Mhm.
Why can't we apply that same innovation, that same thinking outside of the box, to come up with better systems that don't require coercion, basically?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
forever.
Especially with the technology that we have, we're all
Yeah,
connected through the internet. There's no reason that we can't go fund me. Oh, let's build a road. Let's go fund me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
or do you
Yeah,
not want roads? Because
yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like,
I think we should just build the
if there's
roads out of
value
that
to it,
material and
if there's any
yeah,
value to it, you don't need to be forced to pay for it. And if you do
right.
need to be
It's
forced to pay for it, then is it valuable? Probably
yeah,
not.
things are that simple. That's the problem. I think people think things are a lot more complex than they actually are, and things are actually very simple. Like you're saying, in terms of that, like yeah, GoFundMe. People take donations and stuff like that all the time. I would just suggest that maybe we should just build the roads out of material that doesn't decay every time it snows. Like they have had in Europe for hundreds of years and had to not repave those roads.
Of
And
course.
then we could just move on past that. That's the thing. Something I
Yeah.
like to bring up all the time is how there's so much innovation in technology. You can just look into 3D printers have printed lungs for people. You can print lungs at your house with a 3D printer. Yet for some reason, thousands of years, nothing's changed in the way we operate as a species, like
Right.
the control system. And to me, I don't think it's genuine. I think there might be more to the story there. It doesn't make any sense logically. If everything's constantly progressing in a positive matter in terms of technology and everything's getting smaller and better, how come the government keeps getting bigger? That
Yeah.
doesn't really make any sense to me. You
Well, I
know?
think it comes back to the fear of personal responsibility, because if you don't have that, that's exactly why government exists, because people are afraid to be
Mhm.
responsible for themselves, take their own destiny into their own hands. They'd rather just delegate that to someone else. The suits better
They
left
actually
of the suits in
do.
Washington, as they say. Like, I'm
Yeah.
I'm no thinking man. I just work with my hands, and
Yeah, right. Well, I am, and I
what
have a
we
lot
need is
better
a
answer
freaking
than
renaissance.
everyone.
We need a world where everyone is a thinker and an inventor.
Yeah, no, totally. That's the problem. Yeah, like you said, people want to give their responsibility away for someone else to figure out all the things. And I'm kind of sitting here with my hand up, like, I have all the answers, and I actually believe that. I think I have a lot of good fucking answers for a lot of these problems. I don't care if people think I'm cocky for saying that. Because the problems aren't that complex. It's just that nobody wants to look at the situation for what it actually is, not like how we're told it is, what it really is. And that's why we can't really make any I don't know what the right word is, but progress, I guess. You know.
Well, and another thing is, even if you have a different idea about how we can do something differently that doesn't require coercion, um,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it worth trying? Even if it fails, we've got all these
Good point.
millions of people who are at stake, right? Our society, our livelihood. We all have an
Hundreds of
invested
millions. Yeah.
invested interest in that. So,
Mm-hmm.
can we not just try something different and let a few
Yeah.
things fail? And surely somebody's going to have an idea that sticks. But we're just using this archaic system that's thousands of years old and has essentially caused, enormously more grief and suffering than
Yeah.
it has ever claimed to solve or prevent.
Yeah. There's something I like to bring up to people again. With the whole energy thing is they say without government there'd be chaos. There'd be people killing one another. And I always
Yeah.
bring up to them like in the last like 100 like what was it, the last 100 years or so, governments not even including the wars have killed. I'm pretty sure upwards of like 100 to 200 million people of
Way
their own
more than
citizens.
petty crooks, right? I've been
Yeah,
stolen. I've
easily.
been robbed by the government way more times than I've been by, a mugger in the street, for example.
Absolutely, yeah. I've never been mugged in the street in
And
my
and
life.
the ironic
People,
thing too is when I pitch an idea and say, oh well, what if we did it this way instead, and then we wouldn't need government for that, and then they say, oh well, that would never work. First of
yeah.
all,
How would they know?
are
They've
you
never
a
tried.
fortune teller? How do you know the future? And second of
Right.
all, you say that as if the current system we have is somehow working. Like,
Yeah, right.
it's
Right.
obviously
Very
broken.
little.
Let's try something different for once.
that's like my whole catchphrase. Can't we just do things differently? Which again, there's no actual argument for, because I'm not specifically. Again, I'm willing to brainstorm with people. I said a minute ago, like I have all the answers, but I'm willing to listen to a lot of other people with answers too. I just have a lot of ideas of my own. But
Right.
again, people will like, oh, you should run, as if that's ever gonna happen. Like, please, because again, the whole problem is the fact that this system exists in the first place. Again, I'm just waiting for all the liberals. Like, we got to get Bernie Sanders in there. He's not gonna do a fucking thing. Period. Neither is Hillary. Neither is any of them. Not The Rock. Not Kanye. I'll admit, I do kind of want to see Kanye West as president. Like, I would wait that out. That could be real fun. But like, in all seriousness, like, it's just outrageous to think that continuing the way things are going now, it's just absolutely outrageous.
Right.
So I'm just trying to get people's noggin going, I guess, a little bit. Like, hey, maybe the buff guy's got some ideas.
Maybe he's not just a meathead after all.
Oh, I am, but yeah.
But yeah, like again, to tie it back to the natural law, though, as messed up as things are, and as unfortunate as it is, and all the people that are suffering, again, natural law is in effect. We have exactly the government that we deserve. We have the exact amount of slavery as we deserve as the aggregate, right? The trouble is, like, people like us who are taking control of our own lives. We're living in accordance with principles, morality, truth. The ignorance of others is still bleeding onto us and, dragging us down with the crowd.
Because we're all, yeah, right.
Because we're such a minority.
Yeah. Just for kicks, actually, based on what you say, because it's affecting us, I actually, in my own mind, seceded as a member of this country. I don't even refer to this country as the USA anymore. I call it the USAP, the United States and Padini. I'm a separate entity. Like, I live here, but mentally and spiritually, I'm on like another realm of the network or something. So that's what I call it, the USAP.
Hashtag not my president.
Yeah, right. Not my reality.
Yes.
But,
yes, not my government, kicks. Not my borders.
No. right. But yeah, that's what I mean. It's just,
and then
kind of madness.
Like, when people talk about, I mean, the collectivism is another, like, psychological phenomenon to me. It kind of, once you start seeing the illusion of it, it kind of blows my mind to see that in effect. So, like, when people talk about, like, World War II, and they say, like, they attacked us, or we kicked their ass, I'm like, who's we? Were you there in 1941?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You look really good for your age,
Yeah, right. I never understand, like
this we and them, all this us and them. It's just the ego multiplied on a mass scale. It's the same thing. All these, I mean, it's the very thing they're using to divide us all the time, keeping us fighting amongst ourselves rather than pointing our finger at the actual enemies perpetrating, real crimes against humanity. They're the ones pulling the strings behind all of it, George Soros and the Black Lives Matter. I mean, that's just one little example of many of all this divide and conquer, and they divide us by the constructs of the ego. Oh, that's offensive because I believe that I'm white, therefore that's racist, But when you stop identifying as the race you are, you're immune to racism. And I mean, people can still be an asshole to you. I'm not saying if you don't think you're what color you are, then suddenly, like, racism disappears. But it's ultimately people just being an asshole. The reason doesn't really matter, does it? Because you can be an asshole for all different kinds of reasons and discriminate and treat people like shit for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like murder in the name of religion, for example, people.
What was like everybody says that their God is better than the other God and all this kind of stuff, and they're willing to die for something they really don't really know about just because everyone else is, and that's one of the
Justin,
reasons. I'm
gonna have to go, bud. I'm actually, I think I'm being pulled over here.
Oh shit!
Well, actually, maybe I should just leave it going.
You getting pulled over?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm here for you, bro. Shit.
All right. Good times.
Shit. I'm pulled over. Oh man.
I wonder if it's for having the video going.
What are you asking? Third world countries, governments don't do shit like this. But the only reason that those countries are third world countries are because we keep them in those states by basically we have our corporations drain their people and work them around with slavery. J. Cole 2020, not quite. Julie Gibson, what's up, motherfuckers? Chilling. Svetlana, the AI lords are taking over. Yes, the 5G network. Max Egan talks all about that, Svetlana. Check it out. Yeah, we are leaving it going. It looks like Logan is currently under duress. Hopefully he won't get killed on camera because that would really, really suck because he's a nice guy and a friend of mine. And let's all say a prayer for him, I suppose, or something along those lines. Not that I need to do that, but who's pretty cute? Don't, come on, guy. Yeah, you're like Kratos anyway with his bald head. You know, I still got my locks up here for my age. So. Oh man. You right there, brother? Oh man. Well, at least we're on camera, right? See if he'll talk to me. We'll have an enlightening conversation. There you go. Seriously, the irony, right? Isn't it crazy? Spread these ideas while driving, you know. Yeah, he probably did hear us. Yeah, I can't wait till I gotta deal with this shit.
Mall store Chuck Charlie Police Bar. Ready to pull you over. About a mile down back the road, just got to move over for us back there. You failed to move over. You have plenty of room to move over. You got your license on you? What's your registration?
Registration?
Or
Like my book?
yes.
Okay.
How you doing, Mr. Neal? How's everything? We were having a conversation. My friend got pulled over, so
Plenty of room.
kind of.
Oh, you can hold on. That's too much to carry back. Hang tight.
What was said it was wrong? Failed to move over for what? Failed to move over for what? Go back down south, hit. Yeah, bogus arbitrary traffic law. That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what it is. Failed to move over, you know? Isn't that ridiculous? That's absolutely absurd. Yeah, failed to move over. Like the person couldn't have gone around them or something like that, you know? You know. At least we got them on camera, though.
Oh, man. I do not consent to this.
Yeah. What you got in the truck, bruh? You know? What you got in the back? You know? Delivering goods, what? You know?
Apparently, I failed.
Shady, I couldn't agree more. He said he had plenty of room. Why didn't he go around? Good question. You know? My friend's under duress, who potentially could get really, really badly injured, if not killed, simply because of this, which is absolutely ridiculous. Because of some arbitrary whims written down on paper by a bunch of rich old white men that we've never met. That's actually the truth of the situation that nobody wants to confront. You know? And, you know, hopefully nothing happens here, but God damn. Logan, go ahead. Take over, bro. Go ahead. What do you got for us? Oh man, Shady has got a watch street here. Free Logan. I agree, Sveta. Sveta, when are you coming on? You know, I thought we were gonna go in on your enemies. You know, Sveta's got a lot of haters. Spied Piper, 2018. Yeah, now it is a bit tense. Yeah. Like Shady said, maybe they heard what we were talking about. Oh, you can't talk about those things. You know, you can get in trouble for that. You know, spread positive ideas. You know, you devil, you. Best game ever, huh? Yeah, I'm gonna try to play a little tonight. All right, we'll get you on soon. Hey, Logan, can you hear me? Sveta, what do you want to talk about? The haters? Legalize? Yeah, yeah. That's all that is. You know. I mean, what a criminal this guy is, right? Yeah, I'm sure he is. You know, state revenue over nothing.
Yeah, he's
Crazy.
gonna take his sweet time.
Yeah. You want me to just hop out or whatever?
Yeah, I'm sure that's not exactly
Yeah, I'll
exciting.
charge my phone in the I'll charge my phone in the meantime. I'll just hop off that way. I don't kill the battery, and then if you want to jump back in, sound good?
Yeah, I'll shoot you a message when I have my liberty back.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Let me know that that you're all right, because these things don't always go so great. Because God forbid he drove around you. Stay safe, brother.